Now we are going to review the feedback function. So this is a super important data management tool that you have access to. So when citizens or other users of the site, so maybe even other recreation professionals who aren't logged in as data managers, they might just be contributing information through the feedback function. So when either new record suggestions or update suggestions for existing records come in, they go to your feedback page. So you can access your feedback page up here at the top of your page on the menu bar. It says feedback. So if you click that, that opens your feedback page. There's lots of different headings here, so you can jump to different sections on the page using these clickable sort of table of contents clicks here. So you can click those and go to different sections. There's also this helpful page help tool here. So this question mark button, if you click that, it opens a lot of information on the feedback function and how to use it and that sort of thing. So that's a helpful read if you're looking for more information. So I went ahead and I'll show you by looking at this record. So I suggested some feedback. This is a non-public training record that I've created just to demonstrate. You can also see it's the one that I was playing around by adding reminders to. But you'll also notice here that it says check feedback. So when there is feedback on a record, you will see this big check feedback button on the record if you look at it individually. So if you click that, it doesn't open the functionality where you can actually accept the changes, but it just shows you what the person suggested. So just for interest's sake, when you're on a record, that's what that looks like when there's feedback on it. So I'm going to hop back to my other tab here where I'm on the feedback page that I got to by clicking up here. So you can see that when I did add that fake feedback on that record, now because my training account is associated with this agency, I only see feedback here in this section and this section that are for my agency. So you can see that because my agency is in brackets behind these sections. Then there's also the unassigned section. So if the person who suggested the record or the feedback knows who the owner should be, they might assign it to that record owner. But if they don't, they might come in unassigned. So you do want to keep an eye, obviously, on your two charts here that are meant for just your agency, but you also do want to keep an eye down here on the unassigned section as well, because sometimes someone might suggest one that should be owned by your agency, but they just don't know that. So you can see that here, and then you can assign it to your agency if it is applicable. So you can see here on the feedback on existing records, because I made this fake feedback, it shows me here that this record has feedback on it. So again, if I just wanted to look quickly at the changes the person suggested, I would click view. That just opens this list of the changes they made, but it doesn't actually give me the ability to accept them. If I did want to go in and accept this person's updates, I would click update, and then that would open the fields up. It shows me who submitted the updates and when, and what other notes that they left. So that's super helpful. So you can also usually email or contact, they'll leave contact information for that person. So you can get a hold of them if you need more information, which is great. Then you just simply go through. If you're updating it, you can go and do these data management pieces that we talk about in other videos where you set that stuff. And then you start going through the actual recommendations that the person had. Typically, you can just hit update and that will pop the text right into the field that they suggested. So any suggestions that were made by the individual will show you in red text. There'll also be sort of a notification bar here noting that the section has feedback. So you can go through, just click update, update if you're confident that the person has submitted accurate information. Again, click update, update, update. Now, sometimes in some fields, like these are pretty easy, but in some fields, the update button isn't there and you might have to copy and paste the information into the field. But otherwise, so this is a good example. So feedback number one, the name is test person. So I actually have to type that in because it doesn't give me an automatic fill button like these have. Same with this. I'm going to copy this phone number and pop it in because it doesn't have the button. So, one thing to note here for the information section is currently we use the information section to do a lot of embedding, so of photos and videos and that sort of thing, clickable links and whatnot. So, if someone suggests feedback and you have a bunch of code in your information section, if you just click update, it will switch whatever text they suggested for everything that you had in that field. So, you want to make sure that instead of doing that, you just take their changes and implement them manually. So by copy and pasting it or whatever, and making sure that you don't get your code removed for your photos or whatever it is. Hopefully at some point we'll pull all that embed code out of the information section, and photos and videos will have their own field. But until then, this is just something to be careful of. So whenever you go through and accept all the changes that you would like to accept, you can have the delete feedback button checked off here and hit submit updates. That will make the feedback go away. It'll accept all of the changes that you've just made, and then you're good to go. I'm not going to do that because I just want to go back. So I'm going to click back on my browser to the feedback page. So the other thing you can do, if someone does submit feedback and you view it and it isn't applicable or it isn't appropriate for whatever reason, you can also use the delete button just to delete that feedback. So you don't have to accept it if it's not appropriate or not accurate or whatever, doesn't fit your inclusion criteria. You can just delete it. If the person did leave contact information, which usually there either is automatic or required contact information left for feedback, you might want to just reach out to the person and say that you did view their feedback and thank you for the contribution, but it doesn't fit our criteria for whatever reason, or it's not accurate for whatever reason. And the same thing goes for new records. So if you had new record suggestion here, it would be similar. You just hit create, like it would look like this. You'd hit create and you'd go through and accept all their changes and then add anything additional that you need to add. And if it's not finished right away, so maybe someone suggested some stuff, but they didn't give a full record's worth of information, you can always make it non-public for now, and then when you find out more information and you finish the record, then you can make it public. One last thing, you'll also notice that at the bottom here you can see feedback and record suggestions for other agencies as well. So that's also just interesting to keep an eye on, just in case there is anything in there that's applicable to you or something that's owned by a different agency that you think should be yours, or whatever it is. So just keep an eye on that. You can also prompt other folks to check their feedback. So a very powerful tool, and good to keep checking on a regular basis, because again, you might not receive email notifications about this tool. It's one of those things that you kind of need to keep an eye on. So have fun.